Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavakitam Triguna Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Sthiti Prakarana, section 35, having related to you the story of Bhima, Bhasa, Driha, and prior to that, Dhamma, Vyala, and Kata. Yoga Vasistha resumes direct teaching for practicing manana, reflection. This word is nothing but the projection of the mind. It is the mind that has become the infinite sky, the towering mountains. Mind has become the shining deities that abide in the heavens, the dear friends and the bitter enemies. As long as the waves of thoughts rise again and again, so long the world must be experienced again and again by every soul. To understand now, very simple but very profound. If you didn't have mind, will you mind the world? And if you are completely mindful, will you be confined into the world? Simple point. Can anyone be able to experience anything if there is no brain and nervous system? It's a big world that you think. What it is based upon? A little brain, a little nervous system coming out, dropping from it. I'm joking, but not a medical school. And again, you are given rehearsal of going beyond the world when you are going to deep sleep. Everything moves away. But even that experience is coming through your nervous system. So it is a similitude of, in other words, is an experience that is pointing to profound reality, that if the whole world moves away, you are not really going to miss anything. Because the world is kind of lot of data that you experience through your iPhone, iPad, and become so agitated by different types of news. But in the end, forget about it. Forget your iPad. Where have you put it? That's the role of. But when we talk about iPad, brain, and nervous system, what is operating through the brain and nervous system? What's behind all that That's called Chaitanya, pure consciousness, Chit. What is behind all the illuminations proceed from the sun. And of countless reflections, countless shining drops. Each drop has sun within it. It's a vast universe, but all coming out of one sun. Sun is the reality behind. That reality I am, that's the whole project of every individual. Working with the ego I am, that's your iPad type of experience. It is not real I am. The I am. If once that the I am is realized, I am that, not this ego. That's the goal of life. That's the realization of reality. So all this world, how big is the world? Time, space, causation. Each one is a vast topic. Time. Think of the history, vast history of just the earth. But don't lose your mind, the earth. There's history behind the whole universe. There are countless world systems like the Earth planet. Simply it will take time for scientists to point it out. But it is common sense that the entire universe cannot have just one little planet having two-legged creatures. But all this vast visualization or all the data collection is working through, in and through your mind. Work with the mind. What is that mind? And through that mind, who am I? So in order to have that movement comfortable, you listen to what Yoga Vasistha is saying. This world is nothing but the projection of the mind. Understand that. It is the mind that has become the infinite sky. You are saying, oh, how wonderful. But this experience of vastness is nowhere but in your nervous system. Paralyze your nerves and put it in the vast sky. And what will happen to the vastness? I'm joking, but it's a simple way to understand. Whether you experience vastness or experience restriction, it is operating through your operation of your mind. Led by karma, through human mind, you are experiencing this world. The world that's highlighted as the real world. The world of history, the world where all the politics goes on and so many stories. So the experiencing the infinite sky, the towering mountains, all that is an act of your mind, working through your nervous system. Mind has become the shining deities that abide in heavens. And again, come to another level. When you come to upasana, and your mind captures God and starts creating God according to its convenience. So mind comes to a state of recognizing that God's God of treasure, Varuna, goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, goddess of knowledge, Saraswati. All these concepts, names and forms, they are through your mind. Sadhana you practice in and through your mind. The reality behind, in other words, God is not the way your mind meditates on. Nothing wrong by how you should meditate upon. You have no choice. This is just an insight into facts. But whatever you meditate upon is always symbolic. Your goal is not to be united with the picture. The goal is united to be what is behind, what is presented as the allegorical picture of the divine self, pure consciousness. And when you deal with a world of dear relatives, how much you worry about them, how much tenderness develops in your heart. And then you are unable to have a steadiness in your feeling. Even in a very warm and cozy relationship, sometimes there develops bitterness. Father and son living in the same house, they don't talk to each other. That we talked about. That's the role of mind. Led by misunderstanding, you stay away from a very good friend. Later you recognize there was a misunderstanding. So much magic is created by your mind. As long as the waves of thoughts rise again and again, they're called chitta vrittis, thought waves, all the cinema show continues as long as pictures are being projected frame after frame. That similarly, thought wave after thought wave, the frame after frame. In between two thought waves, there is nothing but the screen. But human mind creates an illusion of continuity. Just like you see the show. In the show, you don't see any breakage. But projections, firstly, they have constant breakage. Secondly, they have big breakage. But all have come together in such a way that you sit down on your chair and enjoy the picture without seeing the change. You see a baby suddenly with the picture, 10 years apart, grows up. And your mind enjoys. What I'm trying to say, while changes are going on, what is unchanging behind all that? The screen. The screen that is supporting the show. That is the reality behind the show. Pure consciousness is the reality behind all that your mind is projecting. And that's called pure chit, same as Brahman, same as pure consciousness. When numerous thought waves cloud pure consciousness, soul appears to adopt the form of the mind. Vasanas. Vasanas are like little cloud. That cloud begins to cover pure sky, pure consciousness. Now consciousness blended with subtle desires, that becomes the basis for your chitta. Chit, pure consciousness, now entering into the illusion of being blended with clouds of created by mental projections, the source of mental projection. It is this chitta that causes forgetfulness of one's essential nature. Clouds develop in the sky. Look up to that, and the sky is not there. Not only cloud, the sky, but the sun becomes veiled by the clouds. Therefore, the vikalpas or mental imaginations must be ruthlessly destroyed in order to discover one's essential nature. Here, vikalpas means wrong way of directing your mind. Wrong way of directing your mind has 3 stages. Sanshaya bhavana, asambhavana, viparita bhavana. Sanshaya, mind that constantly works with doubt. Doubt is always, no matter what situation comes, the mind puts 2 fingers. It will be this or it will be that. And your mind goes on making a choice. Which one should I? And doesn't want to give up the second choice. So, it's like trying to cross a river on 2 boats. So 2 boats are there by the river. And your project is go into one of those boats to cross. But the mind cannot make up its mind. And that's the way what's normal human mind works in this world. Constantly in 2 boats. This sanshaya bhavana is removed by listening. Listening is 2 types. Academic listening, you simply create data. Spiritual listening, you become inundated into it, that data collection. You listen and you discover. You are listening to the fact that you are not the body, you are not the mind. But through that listening, you begin to understand. So after you have listened, you are not the same person if listening has been effective. So that Shravana is of different type. So only through your spiritual sadhana atmosphere, satsanga atmosphere, listening corrects the doubting state of the mind. All this said easily, but it is a very profound task before every individual. All through your life, you are constantly dealing with the limitations of your mind. You must understand, it's just like a tree, as long as it is there, it shakes. All through the life, you go on shaking, but all shaking is not exactly the same. If you become advanced, your shaking will be more of a fun. A little shake, and then one get into bigger understanding. That's called doubt, shanka. And then the second type, asambhavana. Your mind makes a determination, a judgment, and passes the judgment on you. And you, of course, are identified with it. So, in brief, you develop the idea, now understand karma. Now understand how many lives I've gone through. Now understand why all these people are suffering. Now understand. But it's such a big project to attain liberation, impossible for me. Not in this life, at least. It's called asambhavana. And now you are judging that because of a mathematical, quantitative study, you cannot attain enlightenment. That's corrected by manana. Start understanding your resources. Your resources are not what your normal mind presents to you. Your resources are beyond your imagination. Therefore, when that moving towards that resource, what is impossible? Nothing is impossible. The divine creation, everything ordinarily is an impossible task. Ask an artist to create a spider web. It will take a lot of time for him. But a spider without any training creates all the web. And we're constantly annoyed by it. Nothing is impossible. Asambhavana. And then the third type of error is viparita bhavana. Viparita bhavana, you are constantly missing what is a direct reality. I always give the example of the mirror. You are seeing your face in a mirror. But what does your mind say? You are seeing, I'm seeing my face. So dull it, you are seeing the mirror. Not face. First mirror, then face. First you are consciousness, awareness, then contents of awareness. But what first completely becomes out of your sight. But by profound meditation, now you go into samadhi, a profound movement for nididhyasan. Mind begins to develop brahmakar vritti, that type of thought wave that enfolds the entire creation. But for a simple way to understand, you are watching the ocean. You can watch the ocean in two ways. Look at waves. There are countless waves, and can become interested in one particular wave and try to follow its history, how it has come, where it is going, how many other waves are related to it. And then the ocean is beyond imagination. Another way of looking at it, oh, this is the ocean. Everything in it is nothing but the ocean. Same sweeping movement, that's how it's brahmakara vritti. First one, vishayakar. Recognizing wave after wave. Now recognizing all as one ocean. That type of wave, brahmakara, is a kind of awakening movement. As long as you are confined to the world of Vishayakara Vritti, the world of causation, time, space, causation, the world of waves, as long as you're confined to that, you are in a state of bondage. But through samadhi, you come to realize there's nothing but the ocean, nothing but Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is the reality. You are Brahman. All this is called vikalpas. All the 3 points, sanshaya bhavana, asambhavana, viparita bhavana. The objects of the world have, as it were, entered into the mind in the form of vasanas. Objects, people, they are always different from you. But when you develop vasana, now those objects are not outside of you. You are missing a dear one, someone who was not a dear one. Through your life's process, you become matched to the person. It became a dear one. Now, you don't see your dear one, you feel miserable. Previously, it was not the same case. Without seeing the dear one, your day goes bad. So where is the dear one? It's in your mind, in the form of subtle impressions you have generated. This is it. This person is source of happiness. This object is source of pleasure. And let me have that type of mental desire, subtle vasana. Now, as if the objects have entered your brain, you no longer there is physical distance. Pure consciousness, apparently tinged with these subtle desires, takes upon itself the role of an incarnating soul, led by vasanas. The soul goes after the world of time and space. Then, having fallen into the objects through the illusion of vasanas and having intensified the body idea, pure consciousness becomes an incarnating soul, subject to the wanderings of its uncontrolled mind. The self is neither the Jiva, the incarnating soul, nor the body. It's a profounder point to understand. When you think of soul as Jiva, then you have a whole story behind it. What karmas are behind the Jiva, what type of Jiva, how long it will take for the Jiva to attain enlightenment. For easy understanding, try to understand. Body is like a pot. Mind is like water. Jiva is like reflected sun. All this set is not the reality. The reality is the sun. But out of this, the reflected sun has something unique about it. It is unreal in itself. But however, go after it to understand what's the source of that reflection. But as it is, if you are satisfied with the soul as it is, then you are in a world of illusion. So the process of understanding Your entire personality has to be analyzed. I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I'm not the ego. I'm not the individual soul. The fact is, if you really negated these sheaths, your attention will not go after negating the individual soul. The individual soul will not be there. But as long as you are using your mind, understand, you are not ending up with a soul stage. You are ending up with absolute. It is the mind that creates the illusory projection of Jivahood on the screen of pure consciousness. Led by the mind, every individual has developed a unique identity. No two jivas are alike. No two souls are alike. They are all different. But in a profounder level, all is one absolute. Mind has projected the world process on the screen of pure consciousness. It is this projection that is called the human personality. All that you view about yourself, your body, your mind, your intellect, all this complex is your personality. But the personality itself is defined by your mental projection. It is this projection that is called human personality, which passes through the story of human embodiment. And then you come to work upon your personality. Now you think of your birth, growth, your achievements, your aging, and then dying, leaving the legacy for coming generations. Everyone is involved in a very intricate type of forest of ignorance. Just as a silkworm becomes imprisoned in its self-created cocoon, creates a wonderful silk, very fashionable. But the worm becomes completely enfolded by it. In the same way, this jiva becomes involved in the body, mind, senses, and the numerous karmas that abide in the chitta. Chitta brought it all, just like in dream. It's a big world comes just on your wonderful cozy bed. When the jiva discards the illusion of the present body, led by its vasanas, it enters into the illusion of another body. The whole process of I am the body is being sustained by vasanas. Vasanas are, to give you more detail, firstly, it's called Klishta Vasana. Klishta Vasana means subtle impressions of kleshas. Kleshas are afflictions. 5 kleshas: avidya, ignorance; asmita, egoism; raga, attachment; dvesha, hatred; abhinivesha, fear of death. All these have created subtle impressions in your subconscious. And these continue to lead the soul from one embodiment to another because they are the basis of karmas. As long as the vasanas exist, klishta vasanas exist in your deeper state of mind, your soul is being led from one body to another. This body is basically constituted of vasanas. And whatever becomes the ruling bhavana, intense desire of the mind, that determines its future embodiment. More inside, it has been described. People live their life, but whatever is their last thought, that points out what will be their next embodiment. But last thought again should not give you the idea that then those people who just died in such a way they didn't even know that they were dying. What will happen to their last thought? The thing is, last thought is their operation of inner mind. So no matter how you die, last thought works out in a mystical mathematics. All the karmas you have done. Now which karma? A portion of that, a resultant karma will now point the possibility for your soul to slip into another embodiment. That resultant last thought is a finger pointing to that resultant karma. Shouldn't take it literally. The person may not have time to define the thought in the mind. But mystic description, you are being led by the resultant karma of the law of karma. You have to study that, so whole intricate study. Just as the dream of a person depends upon the nature of the mind, when going to sleep, if you are in a joyous state of mind, very relaxed, your dream will be sattvic. But if you are going to sleep with a burning stomach, with a stressful body, your dream will be different. In the same way, the future embodiment depends upon the ruling thought that occupies the mind at the time of death. If you were to nourish the seed of sour tamarind with honey, it would give rise to a tree bearing sweet fruits. If you were to nourish the seed of a nectarine tree with poison, it will give rise to fruits that are poisonous. Don't take it literally, this is not. It's the allegorical statement. Implying if your samskara, it's a wrong samskara, but you have created a fascinating illusion about it. In other words, the type of rasa that you are directing to your samskara, that rasa will determine what will be the output of that seed. To put it more simple way, if you are keeping in your mind constantly rasa of depression or sorrow or some negative type, then instead of samskaras that are good ones, to come forth and sprout, you are allowing the negative samskaras to come forth and sprout, creating an illusion that they are very positive. Simple way to understand that things are recognized by people according to their vasanas. If your vasanas are not healthy, then you will go after things that are poisonous, things that are harmful, and you will mistake them to be your very source of inspiration, something very positive. So vasana plays the role of creating rasa in your heart, of sweet or bitter. From advanced point of view, sometimes what seems bitter is better. What seems sweet is not really sweet. But that requires a role of understanding. But if you are completely immersed with vasanas, you have no room for understanding. By entertaining good thoughts and developing divine vasana. When we talk of vasanas, I describe Krishna vasanas, vasanas based upon ignorance, egoism, etc. Now, aklishta vasanas, vasanas based upon your japa, meditation, love of God, your good karmas, then those vasanas are divine vasanas. So if you live your life to bring about a change in your vasana, from ashubh to shubh, from impure to pure, that again is a progressive movement. You can't do that in one move. As vasana becomes purified, chitta attains great heights of glory. Your mind now creates a step ladder leading to spiritual advancement. In other words, all the 7 steps open up for you, which Yoga Vasistha will go on explaining again and again. But by entertaining petty thoughts and desires, if you have no guidance and you just keep your mind busy, led by your own ego, and the highlight of the busyness is to keeping all the negative ones stuck. Any positive, no room for it. So if you keep entertaining petty thoughts and desires, then the soul, led by this impure chitta, will stoop to lowest levels of existence. Just as any form of impurity cannot find a place in a placid and pure lake, and purity cannot find a place in an agitated and impure lake, in the same way, the pure mind of a sage does not entertain impure thoughts, and the impure mind of an ignorant person cannot find a place for pure thoughts. Simple description of the difference between pure mind and impure mind. Remember, Kabira man nirmal bhayo paache lag. Jaise Ganga neer. Kabira describes that there was a time when he went His whole mind, he was caught with the desire of having darshan of God. And people told him, go to Badri. And that particular occasion, fast for so many days, and he was sure to have that. But he went there. But Badri ashram had a different atmosphere. The Salami had visited it. I'm joking. And you go on running. Your whole life, where can I have darshana? And you go to this most sacred place and then end up meeting with people who are worse than in your own locality. So come back with very degraded impressions. The God runs away. Your mind is not pure. Then, no matter how you go to find God, God outfoxes you, runs away. But when the mind has become pure, Kabira man nirmal bhayo, now you don't go after. When will I have darshan of God? When will He come? Doesn't matter. I don't care. But God says, I care. Just as the moon, though reduced to a state of nothingness during the dark half of the month, endeavors to regain its intrinsic glory through its persistent effort. In the same way, men who are endowed with self-effort, although driven to miserable states of existence, continue to persevere until all obstacles are removed and the self is realized. What's allegorically described, that now the same heart that has experienced waning of happiness, waning of joy, as if you are facing a black night of the soul. Through your self-effort, now a divine bhavana will arise like the waxing moon and increasing delight until you come to the full moon. Same heart now becomes the sky with countless twinkling stars highlighted by the full moon. A wise aspirant should never give up his effort. All that's needed is sustained effort, patience and perseverance, sustained by faith and nourished by satsanga. Sustained effort towards mastering the mind for attaining the knowledge of the self. And with this, I will conclude.